things were different. There's only one Spider-Man.
Alright, we got past symbiote invasion scenario number 3, and now we can move on to something not related to space aliens made of evil skin. This time, Spider-Man is hopping dimensions, meaning we have 4 different Spider-Mans. Or, Spider-Men? Yeah. The original Spider-Man breaks some mystical tablet, and the universe will collapse if he doesn't hot glue it back together with the help of 3 other Spideys from alternate universes. How many Spider-Men does it take to screw in a light bulb? 4, apparently. 1 to actually do it, 2 to make bad jokes about it, and the 4th to get beaten to death and replaced by a minority with cooler superpowers. The story was written by a writer from the comics, Dan Slott, who was inspired to later write a series called Spider-Verse with a very similar premise to this game. It's always better when a writer for the books does the story on these things. They know what they're doing. This is the first game in a long time developed by someone other than Treyarch, who were reassigned to working on Call of Duty because Activision's priorities are fucked. So Beanox got the Spider-Man license. Oh, fun. They previously did a Guitar Hero game and some tie-ins for DreamWorks movies. Which doesn't inspire confidence, but we'll give the newbies a try anyway. We have the regular Spider-Man, Noir, Ultimate, and 2099, all of which are played by the voice actors from each Spider-Man cartoon from the past 20 years. Neil Patrick Harris plays Amazing Peter Parker, and my favorite, Josh Keaton of Spectacular Spider-Man, is Ultimate.
What am I doing in the black suit? I hate this thing!
One thing that bothers me is that we still have the black suit in this game somehow. It's a silly little cop-out they use to differentiate between Amazing and Ultimate other than height. They say Ultimate Peter is the youngest and the weakest, so Madam Web grants him a black suit on a leash to make up for it. Thankfully, his original suit is an unlockable costume, so you can just wear that if it bothers you that much. This one's structured different than I'm used to. I guess I'll go over everything in the game overall, and then talk about the 4 variants of Spider-Man individually. This game is totally linear and has no open world, which upset me when I first heard about it, but as I thought more on it, it's a welcome change of pace. We've seen an open world version of New York 4 times in a row now, and that wouldn't make sense for this story unless they modeled 4 variations of New York. One in the 1940s, 2 current ones that look different somehow, and a sprawling cyberpunk metropolis with 500-story buildings. They made the right choice. The linear design doesn't detract from the experience, and each of the characters has a distinct style based on the art of their individual books. All versions have a pretty standard character action game combat system. A lock-on, a light attack, a strong attack. Woo! Really breaking the mold there, guys. The web strike thing is still here, but it's far less effective and far less fun. There's a weird, clunky, annoying first-person fighting mode that it forces you to use on occasion.
What do you mean, meh?
I've seen one of these before.
No, you haven't.
I have. I totally have.
They once again have way too many stupid spider tokens for you to collect. But unlike the last game, they're much easier to find. And you go, I guess I'll grab that one. Why not, right? Then you think the same thing for the next one you see. And then you think the same thing for the next one. Then it happens again. Then you black out and realize the 8 hours have passed and you've obsessively found all 385 of them. Web swinging is sort of pointless, but it controls well. And you can zip to perch points and walk on balance beams. Movement is it's fine. It's fine. Really, the overall gameplay is sort of standard and boring. Yet the interesting parts lie in the details and variations of the Spider-Manses. Ultimate Spider-Man contains the same cel-shaded art style of the other game, and has the best missions in this game. The black suit gives him a rage meter that he can fight hordes of enemies with. So, like Spider-Man 3, but not Spider-Man 3, which means it's good. The mission where he goes on the set of a twisted game show on an oil rig is my favorite. The host of this mission is none other than...
The anti-hero for hire, the mask for your task, the guy who won't die, Deadpool!
And the back and forth between them is so fun to listen to.
Did you seriously just try to lock me in a room? What am I, grounded?
Just sit tight, my little mouth breather. We gotta pause for another break from our sponsor.
This mission has the most exploration and some larger environments. Being that you can't leave an area until you've found and destroyed every camera on the oil rig.
Easy on the merchandise, pal!
All of the bad guys are Deadpool's obsessive fans. Look at these losers dressed up in Deadpool merchandise. Who the fuck dresses like that? Oh. Nolan North reprises his role as the hero whose superpower is murder, and he never fails as Deadpool.
Hey, now it's fighting time! Fighting time!
Blood!
The third mission as Ultimate Spidey has him fighting the Ultimate Universe's Carnage, a horrible and monstrous spaghetti clone of Peter. He had very little screen time in the game Ultimate Spider-Man, but that mission still gave me nightmares as a kid. It was my favorite boss, and this offers a bit of nostalgia for me. He/she/it doesn't have as much personality as the original Carnage, but is still a fun fight. And the setting of the mission is by far the biggest in scale, with an entire helicarrier crashing behind you. I just wish he wasn't wearing that damn overused suit the whole time.
And now, you must all return to your own dimensions.
See you later, older and less cool versions of me.
Noir universe. I'm saying that correctly, right?
Noir.
Contains a Spider-Man who talks like a 1940s wise guy and beats up stereotypical Italian mobsters. I didn't think there could be a Spider-Man more edgy than Renegade Spider-Man, but here he is. He's trying so hard to be Batman, which translates to the Arkham-like gameplay. You have to be like a spider ninja because he can't take a bullet to save his life. Wait, isn't that a bit of a contradiction? No, not the weird phrasing of that sentence. I mean, Ultimate Spidey was the weakest and got the black suit to make up for it. But this Spider-Man can be beaten in a hand-to-hand fight by a normal human being. What? Give this loser the black suit! Wait, then he'd be too edgy. That amount of darkness in Renegade would end all life as we know it. So I have to stick to the shadows. Don't worry, I'll be stealthier than Kate Mara and Jamie Bell at Comic-Con. This joke is topical as of August 5th, 2015. While the stealth attacks aren't as varied as they could be, it's still very satisfying to make it through a whole section without being spotted. The art style and stealth gameplay sets this one apart from the others, and I like how varied it is from the usual style of Spider-Man punching first and asking questions later. Okay, Spider-Man 2099 has the best setting. It's like Spider-Man in Blade Runner. The buildings are so tall, he can just stop swinging and fall for minutes without hitting the ground. This one isn't very different in terms of gameplay or playstyle, but man is it fun to look at. The environments are so huge and detailed. This Spider-Man didn't have many villains, so like Spider-Man Noir, the game invents new villains for them, which are all welcomed additions and make for a lot of fresh ideas. Well, he did have some good villains, but all of them are futuristic variations of other characters, and I'd imagine it would confuse people to have 2 Vultures and 2 Venom symbiotes. Having read the Spider-Man 2099 series and being a huge fan of that character, I'm kind of bothered by a lot of the choices made in the development of this segment in the game. It ignores a lot of lore and characters to keep it simple, but come on, they couldn't use at least one in-joke? How about the mission where you break into Alchemax? It could have a scene where you talk to the evil CEO of the company, Aaron Stone, who is also Miguel O'Hara's, spoiler, skip to this time code if you haven't read it and want to, dad. Just have him say something snarky over the intercom so we know that he exists? I don't know. The biggest issue for me is the costume that Miguel O'Hara wears. They replace his big dumb Todd McFarlane cape with a wingsuit design, and of course the whole thing is the complete wrong color. Now you may be asking, Xavier, what are you talking about? It looks great. Well, no, it's blue, and it shouldn't be. You hear me out on this, okay? Miguel O'Hara's suit is actually black. If you read the book, they talk about the guy in the black suit all the time. It's referenced every 5 minutes. The reason it looks blue is a limitation of the art style. New York in 84 years is a mess of neon lights, and it's hard to communicate brightness on pitch black textures and drawings. So they used blue to accent it, and black is the parts that aren't coated in light, instead of black being the shadow like everyone thought it was. They used the same trick to draw Venom in tons of cases too. This little inconsistency leads me to wonder if the devs actually looked at the books in depth, or just took some quick glances at Google image search and said, just design it based off this, without getting any context of the way things look or why they are the way they are. It's a minor thing that no one but an insane person with OCD would complain about, but to me it shows a bit of laziness in the creative process. I even have a Halloween costume that's the right color. Miguel O'Hara's costume design is a massive misconception based on no one having actually read the book except for me and some guy from Idaho. God, do I sound enough like a hipster? The final boss of the game is when Mysterio gains godlike powers and starts tearing apart the universes, which means all of the different Spider-Men have to fight him one at a time, and once they finally beat him, they only get one scene to interact with each other. I couldn't help but notice Noir Spider-Man's segment of this boss fight is exactly like a scene in Arkham. Hide behind the ruins, suspended in impossible space, and avoid the spotlight. Could they have been any more unsubtle with this one?
Is that a cartoon pig?
Focus.
Ironically, the most boring segments of this game are about the original Spider-Man. He has Kraven, Sandman, and Juggernaut as bosses. These missions feel so drawn out, and the color palette is so boring to look at. We've been this same Spider-Man so many times before that all you want to do is give the other guys a try. If only the original one had somewhere more interesting to go, like accidentally falling into the settings of the other 3 variations and having to interact with them. It would be so much more interesting. This game in general has gameplay that isn't anything special, but the art styles, clever writing, and imaginative concept all make this one worth a try for fans of the character. It just doesn't capture that feeling of being Spider-Man, though. You'd rather be Spider-Man in the future, or the past. Anything but the normal one.
Oh, come on!
Marty! You've got to come back with me!
Where?
Back to the future!